just like I think it's interesting.
I know, and that's what's interesting is people like be hating the whole spot
just because what they see.
because they see some shit and they feel like the politics are steering them in some moral, ethical high ground. It's like, wait, hold on a second. Somebody said that they like China.
This is a weird world. Being a decent human being can bless you. One of my boys is like that. He's definitely a crown apple guy.
It's just when people start throwing fruits and liquor together, I don't always know.
Yeah, like Fireball. I had to retire Fireball after one bad night of Fireball.
Everyone has a bad night on Fireball, and I don't know why it was ever cool to act like that was okay to drink.
Mm-hmm. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, Will, for being here today, man.
You're welcome. That was a good intro.
So hold on a second. No, tell me about this. All right. So you're worried about the birth of your child in what way? Like, what are we talking
all right.
about?
So let's backdrop a little bit. Backstep. So my wife is about 5 months pregnant.
That's crazy.
Was it July? We're due in November. Girl. So happy about all that. Happy about everything about that. Most people, we were just talking about how, like, oh my God, you're having a baby, everything's going to change, and giving you this big, like, oh my God, everything, all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, like that comes with this. Like, you don't expect like everything's going to be the same. You can wake up when you want to, excuse me, and basically have the 8-hour sleep. I'm gonna be getting 3-4 hours sleep. So I'm gonna be doing the diaper changes, all that stuff. All that is natural. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just smarter toys. But the only thing I'm really worried about is just the birth. Two real reasons. One, my wife's a nurse, so she's all the medical stuff, and I understand how the baby comes out and everything. It's just weird to me because it's a guy thing. Because it's like, yo, if Adam actually carried it, we wouldn't be here. But shout out to y'all for doing that. But that's one thing. And then
shout out to y'all for doing that. It's crazy.
Shout out for y'all for doing that. And number two, it's actually more serious.
Thank y'all for holding the human race down like that.
Strong. But the second one's actually true because of the higher fatality or birth issues with Black women in hospitals. My wife always told me stuff about that. It's been more prominent, and that's why she is not nervous about that, because we were really having deep conversations about that part. But it's like, because she knows the staff, we know where we're going, we're doing all that stuff, and it's great. And her OBGYN is like our former teacher from Richmond, so everything's been like copacetic, like all wheels go. It's just that you never know what happens on that night.
What is it particularly about Black women that has been dying at a faster rate?
It's like that doctors might not believe them when they say something. It's just, I don't know the exact reasoning behind it, but and women, I know when y'all see this, y'all gonna send out all the links like y'all do, because y'all A1 with the duck sauce with that. But it's like, the biggest thing my wife brought up to me is like when Serena Williams had her first kid, she had issues with like blood clots, and they didn't believe her, and she had to get like a second opinion if I know the story is true. Or her like not the midwife or her doula, whoever, had to help her out with that. So it's like just the advocacy for Black women in medical care has always been a major thing. For me, it's never been like new. It's not new to me, but it's just like now it's on the forefront of my mind a little bit.
Okay. But aside from that, you're fine.
Aside from that, I'm gravy. I'm great.
So you just need to get past the birth.
Watch her drop out. We good.
Watch her drop out. All right.
Watch her drop out and good. But it's just, I keep all positive vibes about it. Like, I'm making the playlist for the day.
Really?
Yes, I'm making the playlist for the day. Because I told my wife, I was like, I'm basically her cheerleader in this aspect. There's nothing, like, whenever you have a kid, you're basically going to be the cheerleader. You're going to shuffle her to the appointments. I have no problem with that, by the way. She knows, because I'm like, I have.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Nah.
If you were just like, bitch, drive yourself. Like,
nah. because I want to be a part of that whole process. I have a job that's allowed me to do that, so I'm very blessed with that. But it's also just like making sure everything's good with her. If she ever had bad news on that day, I'm right there.
Yeah.
And we make it a date day. So it's like everything from that, and just knowing that as a girl, having a girl first, and just having a baby in general has just been overall excitement.
Was there any particular emotion that swept over you when you found out it was a girl?
Yes. My wife is pretty funny. She has to be, because she's dealing with a comedian all the time. So I came home. It was actually kind of funny because I just got done working with LED Studios. They were at one of their networking events. So I was just done working with them for something. They're the main people that do my videos. So shout out to them.
Dreams Not Fame podcast.
Dreams Not Fame podcast. We're going to get all into that too. But once I got done with that, we had like a forefront plan of how we're going to attack the summer. We're going to be like, all right, boom, 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 boom. And then when I get home, my wife, because it's actually true that my bed was broken at the time, and she really wanted me to fix it for some freaking reason that night. As soon as I got home, I'm already like pumped trying to tell her like what's going on with the podcast. And she's like, babe, just go in the bedroom. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And so she had all laid out, flowers, everything, of like the 2 sticks and all that stuff. So it was pretty good. It's pretty great. It's really been a blessing with that. So after that, like she made it funny. Like I actually had to work after coming home like 10 o'clock at night when I'm already like lit. So I was like, nah, I'm not having it. But nah, it's just the whole process, the whole seeing the baby, and the different adjustments that we had to make, like stuff like that. It's been really good.
Yeah. All right, but you feel good about it.
Oh man, I feel great.
You feel you're preparing yourself for everything that's
mentally
as best as you can.
The only thing, because the only playbook I got is just be better than pops. That's the only playbook.
Be better than pops.
Be better than pops. Be better than my parents. Because you really want just to break generational curses, break the mold, do something different. So that's why it's like, when my parents were coming about, and no diss to my dad, but it was like they didn't have the opportunity to like go to all the appointments together, because back 90s and all that stuff, they just weren't really about childcare. They're still not. Like I was just talking to my friend, I was talking to a coworker.
It wasn't about childcare.
It's still not, man. Because here's the thing, like I was talking to my coworker who is in Europe. He lives in Great Britain, and we were talking about how I'm about to go on leave for like 3 months, and I have the blessed to I can do my leave and adjust it however I want. I could do a month, come back, take another month off. I'm blessed with that kind of option. Overseas, the mother can get a whole year off and full pay, and then she gets the option to do a second year off for half pay.
Oh.
And I'm like, we're in 2 different levels right now. Like that's just too, like that's crazy. So it's like you got 2 years. Your boss might not be at the same job by the time you come back, and you come into a whole new crew. That's gonna be weird. So, it's just getting adjustments to that. I definitely had to buy that. Ladies, you're gonna know this pillow really well. It's this like U-shaped pillow to help her sleep. Like I bought that like maybe 3 weeks in, because she was already like, oh man, my back and all this. I'm like, I'm getting you your pillow so you can go to sleep, so you can be comfortable. So
does this like go underneath her back?
It's like it's like a U, so that she sleeps it on the side here,
okay,
and then it goes in between her legs, and it helps somehow her sleep with the pillow in between the legs part. And it's comfortable.
Yeah, someone told me that putting a pillow between your legs straightens your spine.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That is also true. I heard that from a lot of chiropractors, which I'm seeing mine tomorrow. So, yeah. He's definitely recommended me that too as well.
Very nice.
Not the pillow that she got, the pillow for in between the legs.
Are you going to chiropractic surgery for like, or chiropractic practicing for like back issues?
Yeah, because
is it from
jiu-jitsu? Yeah.
Okay.
I had tweaked my neck and shoulder. And with jiu-jitsu, doing physical sports and all that, you gotta tune up your body every once in a while. So I do my chiropractor regularly, and it helps out a lot. Plus, I'm work on laptops, so I'm always doing something. So it helps straighten out my back a lot, and my neck and my shoulder issues. And I also go to a massage therapist maybe like once every 2 months. Should be more, but it's just like everything's been reallocating. Like I said, it's not about you anymore. You got to reallocate funds and make sure this, that, and the third. But it's
So
just
between all of your loves, your comedy, your podcasting, your jujitsu, and you just running around being lit and whatever other ways you do it, what is the first thing that is to go when it comes to reallocation of time and effort into the little one?
Here's the thing. I actually thought about this 2 years ago.
Okay.
I think in our last podcast we talked about. I think we had medical issues prior to this and all that. So right around 2021, I actually was taking time off jiu-jitsu to be with her a little bit more, and that's how I kind of started doing more podcasting, more comedy, because it was like, all right, she can come out with me to the podcast. She can come out with me to the comedy. So it's like she gets to go out. She gets to have fun. So it's just like we still bonding, but I'm doing my thing as well, right? So I was already planning 2 years ago, and I actually kind of planned this all. And it's kind of weird how everything you're like, I'm trying to get to this point, and it's getting to that point. So it's like you manifest it in the way that it works out perfectly. So to answer that question, I already know jiu-jitsu is probably the comps are going to come down. I already know that. She's like, you're not going to be able to do another time in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I already know, but it's like once you get the baby in a schedule, you're good to go. So I know that's going to come down. Comedy and podcasting, just depends on where we at with the podcasting by that time and see how the baby is.
How many hours do you feel like you would have to put into jiu-jitsu
to compete
weekly in order to compete? Like, what would you feel comfortable?
I don't know about hours, but I know about days.
Okay.
I do roughly about 4 or 5 times a week. This week is actually the first week in like 6 weeks that I haven't trained at all this week.
Okay.
I've mainly been just going to the gym and doing all that, but I'm training all weekend, and then I won't be training for another 4 days or actually 3 days, because I'm going to Boston next week. That's for work.
And you recently just had a match, right?
Yeah. So it's like for that itself, like I found that out in, let's say, what is it? I had that on June, found out mid-March. I was doing maybe 5-6 days a week, workouts, maybe 2 or 3 days a day. So that'd be like a morning run, afternoon lift, or another run, and then jiu-jitsu afterwards. And that'd be depending on what my schedule was. And I might do a heavy day in between. And then, so that whole build of just doing that 4 or 5 times a week, 3 times a day with a kid, that's not going to be feasible when the baby's all that. I already know that. But it's like, all right, I can't do the 2 or 3 day workouts, but I can get, when it's like, when we're doing the rotation, like the mom's going to have her for 3 hours. I have her for 3 hours back and forth. Well, one of those 3 hours, I'm going to just go to the gym real quick, or go to a close gym nearby that does jujitsu, do jujitsu real quick, come back and do that. Same thing when it's at night. Sometimes if I can get out for 3 hours, I might have to brag a little bit, maybe get like a 6-hour shift in.
Yeah.
But go to a comedy club and do my bit, and then come immediately right back.
Immediately
right back, because it could be a saucy night. I don't want to come home like that.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's probably going to happen. But it's just like, that's where your time management has to be key. You got to understand where you're shifting your goal of, okay, this creativity path of jiu-jitsu is not going to be feasible if I can't travel the way I want to, or stuff like that. Like right now, I was really wanting to go to Worlds, which is in August in Vegas, and that's actually next month, like the 19th, around this time. I tried to plan for that for January. Found out in February with the kids. It was like, already, we ain't doing Worlds. like I already knew. I was like, I ain't going to even bring that up. Like,
you didn't even feel like there was any
you got
no feasible way of putting it together.
No feasible way. And then you got to understand in certain things, like, it's like, I can do it next year probably when the baby's more settled.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the entire time working out, doing all this stuff, and missing time out with my wife in this situation. We're not going on dates. We're not having fun. So it's like jiu-jitsu does take part of that out of here.
Of course.
With comedy and podcasting, I'm probably out maybe 3 hours max. Hour to get to the place, hour for the interview, hour hang out afterwards, maybe 4 hours max. And I'm back home, right? Comedy, same thing, 4 hours max, back home. But I'm not physically tired. So it's like, I can do more. So it's just like, you got to compartmentalize, like.
You're blessed because of all the energy that you have. You're in a good place to have a child in that regard.
In that regard, and I won't even say like.
Hold on a second. Wait. Why just that regard? Why? Hold on. What regard? In what regard is it a little shaky?
Nah.
You agreed with that shit immediately.
I was like, yeah, in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that for sure. No, there's nothing that's disagreeable, bro. But nah, it's just like, you realize that I think when everything happened in 2021 and with my pops and everything like that, you realize a lot of what you want to do in life and how to go get that in your life. Like some people, it's upgrading jobs, and I did that as well. It's like some things you just want to do. Because you want to make your life and the life of your partner better. And it's just naturally like that.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the cause of your father's
My dad
passing?
had kidney disease. So my dad had kidney disease, and eventually he was on dialysis. And then from dialysis, he had thin veins, and eventually came a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
So it eventually came out like that. But the kidneys that is really a sad story. The kidneys was like, he found out maybe 2-3 years prior. It was always he had it the entire time, and he just finally found out. Had like 2 donors, both of them backed out last minute, or it was like he was sick and stuff like that. And then he didn't want my sister and I to get tested, even though I think one of us is around the blood type. I'm not 100% sure, but because he didn't want us to have our lives altered for him. So it was just like all that, and he was doing really great, and my dad was a worker. I probably get my energy from my pops more than anything else. Like my dad was a worker. He taught me how to work. He taught me work ethic. So when you put in work, you get rewarded at the end of it. So like my dad taught me that you didn't need a college degree to make 6 figures doing IT. And unfortunately, I didn't learn that till later. I got my associates, but you learn later on, like, all right, I can go easy route and go this way. And he was always a workaholic, didn't need to be in the office, even he had kidney disease. They told me he can work from home, told him all that. He was like, nah, I gotta go. I gotta feel that 1960s, like, just like, I gotta go. Like, you know what I mean? So and he was always,
niggas, those are shout out to them niggas back then, because they were different type of workers. People today that have no idea. I mean, some people are still working like that, but those are different workers.
Nah, my dad was the ultimate. He's the reason why I wanted to work from home, because I saw how my dad worked from home, and he would just BS half the time. And I'm like, Dad, what are you really doing?
Oh, that's
it's like, what are you really doing? And then now, since I work from home, my wife does the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, I see.
Hey, man,
because you can compartment. You can,
if you can do it, just like the life that you're talking about making for yourself, you can make it so that the relaxing part of it is a part of your job as well. I think that's why Google has done such a great job with their facility. It's like, yo, listen, if we want you guys to put in the type of hours we're expecting you to and give the level of service we're expecting you to, we're about to give you here's a gym, go work out. Here's a yoga studio. Here's a bed, go live in your dormitory. Like, whatever the fuck, like, they just got shit in there for you. That's a dope ass fucking place. Video games, like tennis courts. Also, that shit is awesome.
It's awesome until they overpopulated themselves. Like when that IT cut, like when everything was Silicon Valley Bank. And if you guys not big in the stock market or anything,
I'm not. Please explain.
All right, so Silicon Valley Bank was one of those tycoon digital, not digital bank, but it was a bank that basically mostly Silicon Valley was in. Mostly all the big tech companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, my company, so on and so forth. A lot of these other companies in there. So they were, I think it was bear bonds, and it was during COVID, and then they bought some stuff, and then it panned out well, and then there was shortage of money. So the FDIC came in and wrapped all that shit up, right? So basically, we got everybody's funds out, but because of that, and then there was no growth, and this is when really you start learning politics, guys. There was no growth. There was always this deficit, and because no one was really spending after COVID, everybody started getting cut. And it was mostly like once the big companies started cutting, and then it was starting the little companies start getting cut. And those companies, you get severance package in those situations, which is great. But people, oversaturated with the jobs they need because of COVID, and then once there was a dial back and not gaining the subscriptions that they needed and so forth, everything started crashing down. And it's no coincidence that it's happening in different sectors of life itself. Right now is the whole actors, SAG, and writers and all that stuff, which I'm not part of or anything like that, but it's just like in that space, I see where people are getting upset about that. So it's just like you got that going on, people not getting paid and so forth. So it's like it's just when money and economics get in the mix, it's really shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, that is weird. And I've been listening to this audiobook called Bullshit Jobs. It's great for an audiobook. But it just really talks about all the jobs out there that they were made for some stupid ass reason, like someone needed little cronies underneath them in order for their business to look like an actual business or to be respected as such.
Yeah.
Or, just to be like a paper pusher, just to give, it could be nepotism, just to give like your fucking nephew a job or some shit like that. There's so many reasons why completely unnecessary jobs are made. It's wild to listen to this guy go through all the different ways that people feel like if their job was eradicated from the world, there would be no change at all. Like they just have one of those jobs. They're just like a floater. They just kind of facilitate bullshit that's never checked over. They write a bunch of plans and fucking review reports and stuff like that, and no one's ever looking at them. They're just there. They're just like, there are a lot of people that just have jobs, and then so when that crisis does happen, there's just a ton of people that just didn't
get cut,
that didn't need to, because they didn't have a job in the first place. There's so many people that just have jobs that are not actual jobs. It's really, really weird. And a lot of it's in like the corporate sector.
Corporate sector, especially. Like I've realized,
I've seen so many fucking job openings just like be created. Just create and then you learn about why jobs. They were created. The ghost job. See, that's what I'm talking about. Just this is just like a job maybe to get someone out of the way because it's maybe difficult to fire someone. There's so many reasons why this fucking book is just had my mind blown about all the different types of jobs that are so unnecessary and people find themselves in and like feeling like their soul's being sucked out of them.
And I've had jobs like that. I've had paper pusher jobs like that could have been way more automated if they spent it. Honestly, AI would probably take that job, like renewing insurance policies. That can be really AI oriented. That job's going to be wiped out soon. Some of the stuff I do as a support engineer for my job, that stuff probably going to be wiped out soon unless I know anything else. Like if the situation's broken, like AI is great. But it's also like I also have a big tinfoil hat on a lot of shit. So it's just like one of those things like
you think there's much deeper, darker links happening.
I mean that's
amongst
stuff,
us.
I mean there's stuff that goes bump in the night. There's such thing as a dark web. So it's just certain stuff like that when I really think about, when I started getting IT, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be great. And then when I started knowing about certain things and certain hacks and like most of our government infrastructure is still built out from the old school, like 80s, 90s computers. And I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense of why they get hacked a lot. Because it's just like you put in a band-aid over a situation. You want to upgrade the whole thing because it's going to cost you a lot. But you still pay for stuff that's not necessary. I can go different ways, bro.
That's interesting. Yeah, see, that's a very deep, dark thing to like be a hacker or know how to hack or know enough about IT to just get. That's what I'm saying. These shit, the things that you've seen probably, well, I'm certain would surprise a lot of people. But just going to that dark side of the web, like what the fuck is going on over there?
So I had a professor who was a DoD engineer. All right, I forget, but like I think one of the best professors I ever fucking had. Dude wrote me a great recommendation for a job. I was like, I'm never going to fucking government, but I wouldn't be able to do the stuff I'm doing now. But I remember he was teaching us one thing about just digital forensics and how to go through files. And he was like, and we asked him one day, how do you do this? with a very secure thing with their laptop. Cause it was just like, we knew he was a hacker. He said he had things of a hacker, and he was like, all right, well, we're going to set this internet. We set up a whole firewall, set up a whole internet connection, had on a separate computer, whole 9 fucking yards. And we seen him rip through it in 5 minutes. Like with some of the people that were top notch builders. And I wasn't one of them. Like I was just watching and I'm like, okay. Like, all right, there's some ninjas out there that can really like cut up some stuff. Like it's really insane.
As you're watching them go through firewalls and all this extra shit, do you even understand it? Like
it's a language, so everyone has a language, or it's like if you know Active Directory, if you know how to access, or just anything in general, depending on how he was hacking it. It was so long ago. I think he was using the OS system that I was like very, very familiar with. He wasn't using like nothing like Linux. I think he was using like a hack. There's different hacker, what's it called, applications that you can use to help and dig through some stuff. Like I've done something. There's nothing like secret. Like you can use Black Arc. You can use Parrot OS, which is my favorite. Haven't used that in years. There's other stuff that you can do when you get through that. So when he was going through it, like, yeah, because we had to leave like one backdoor entry open. We had to like pick not a common, like we had to do like, so the way he found the password, we had to do one of those, those like letter things. You gotta match them all up in like it's like these 6 rows of different letters. I forget what it's called, like a crossword puzzle. Yeah, one of those. So we had to do a crossword puzzle, and we were just like 3 or 4 words that it spell out. So he figured that out. Because we gave him hints. Because it was just use a crossword puzzle, give him 3 hints of like what this word can be combined and stuff. Once he got that, then he was like, all right, cool. He did it through some back wall that way. And then when the second time he did it, he was like, he didn't know any passwords whatsoever. And then he cracked that. He cracked the one with the password like 5 minutes. So that shows you like when your email gets dark webbed, if you get those like things on Experian, or your password might be like used. Just like, all right, so this is like what happens when the password, they know the full password and they have the whole access. Second time we did was when it was locked, and he took like maybe 30 minutes. Yeah. Being in those rooms are very interesting. But I do not do that type of stuff, but I do.
Do you do preventative maintenance at your home?
Yes. The funny thing I had now, so you know the Huawei phone, the Chinese phone?
No. Oh wait, no, I haven't.
The thing they have the big conspiracy about it, about like China and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So because I had to do the Wi-Fi yesterday at my mother-in-law's house, and that was crazy. But he has one of those phones, and my first thing was like, if I give him this Wi-Fi real quick, how fast all this stuff's gonna go back? So it's like, but not like,
man. I feel like people say China a lot these days.
Everybody says China, Russia. I think everybody says Russia because Russia did hack us, because of that whole event that we're still talking about to this day. But the one thing
I can't the thing is that I don't remember the last time I was talking to someone and they were just like, man, China's great, man.
I see, here's the thing with China.
You know what I mean? Like when's the last time you heard that?
Man, like,
China's awesome, man. I fucking love China. Who's the last person you heard say that?
Actually, my brother-in-law, because he went and visited China.
See what I'm saying? If you go over there, probably a nice time.
No, because like, and here's the thing, is like, it's just politics. Because if you go to Russia, it's probably not going. You don't want to say you're American, but you can probably be alright.
I think they're gonna know.
You know what's the funniest thing? Well, not funny, but the one thing I always found interesting. So like when they had this stuff with like the removal of United States soldiers and stuff like that from Iraq or whatever, and how much personnel we had over there, or it was like some other place that was like Ukraine, and how many people we have over there. I was like, why do we have like 25,000 people just randomly in Ukraine? Like that.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, that's just a number I'm throwing out. I don't know if that's record or anything like that. But it's just like, why do we have that many people over here for some reason? Like it's just weird stuff. I think government's weird, but like the places are normal. Like if you go, like this whole stuff is just like, I think it's interesting.
I know, and that's what's interesting is people like be hating the whole spot
Just because what they see.
Because they see some shit and they feel like the politics are steering them in some moral, ethical high ground. It's like, wait, hold on a second. Somebody say that they like China, goddammit. Somebody, I just need...
Everything in my house is made from China.
Yeah, like, I just need to hear some love. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, it's just like, I think...
Because it's the vibe. I don't... People are not, knowledgeable about really what's going on, right? So, I need to hear the vibe lighten up. I just need to hear a bit of levity is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's always something spinning the news. Like, I think everybody with the meme on Black Twitter right now is Canada, and that smoke for the last like 3 weeks and all that stuff. It's like Canada acting up and all that, and then like all that politics stuff, and it's just like to be honest, like
you just need to worry about your child.
I'm not even like this is what happens when you work from home all day. You just watch stuff. And
do you worry at all about local politics?
You know what? The only thing I really worried about locally or nationally, really, because I don't really care about this whole stuff with Russia and all that stuff. I think it's all that. It's kind of funny. I worry about education the most. I think the weirder stuff of what they're trying to take out of school is very interesting in why and how they're doing it. Especially when it comes to Black history, and especially when it comes to African American history.
I have a homie that's leaving Florida for this exact reason. Like he's just like, dude, it's not safe here for us.
No, like,
I gotta go.
Yeah, like Miami, Little Havana. Yeah, we good. We good with all the people in there. Maybe Fort Lauderdale. But other than that, nah, don't go to Florida, man. Do not go to Florida. I actually like. So it's just like education for me is a big thing. I don't think Virginia is that bad in education. I think it just depends on where we land and where we go after this. Because again, that's depending on how all this other stuff going on. You never realize what you care about until you're like, oh shit, I got a kid coming in like 5 months. So has education newly been on your mind? Education's newly been on my mind. The biggest one has to be housing prices, why they got raised, how they got raised.
Why these prices like this? Yeah.
So, and Alexander, back and forth. I'm not a political guy, people, or talk about these prices and shit. Because honestly, all out here is just cap. It's just real cap.
Yeah. But you're a soon-to-be father.
Soon-to-be father. So you're like, you count your pennies, you count your dimes, right? So I used to live in Alexandria, and everything got skyrocketed up like 10, 20% because Amazon HQ came in. And then when all those people coming in, the other thing that was going on is corporations buying houses for their people and having them live in there and all that stuff. So that kind of raised everything from everything south. Like even like...
Where the fuck is Amazon HQ at?
Arlington.
Oh.
Yeah. So and they're HQ too, whatever. And with everything going, like everything in Alexandria was probably now in the 22.5s, and even before that, like housing and out that way in Fairfax and all that way up north was like already like 600,000 for a house, like for a house, $500K for a townhome. I'm like, why is a townhome $500K? And then I'm looking at Georgia, unfortunately, and then Texas. And these houses are 3-bedroom, 3-bath townhomes, $1,200 rent. I'm over here like, okay. Do I want to sacrifice Black history for this? So it's like, what do you want to sacrifice for Black history?
Well, you don't have to sacrifice it. I mean, like, first of all, how much was being taught in school to begin with?
Let's be honest. Let's be real about that. Okay,
we can start there
because we didn't never learn about Huey Newton in school.
I didn't learn about all sorts of people in school, but you can also. I mean, education starts at home. Mm-hmm. My grandma, she was Sister Hooks. Mm-hmm. Was just one of the matriarchs of the church, right? So she wasn't no fucking teacher, and she didn't need to be either because those kids, she would end up hitting a kid. Mm-hmm. But she came and she wanted every one of them children to know about Black history. So she was just one of those sources of education in the community. And she did that in 2 different churches that she went through.
Nice.
So I feel like, listen, of course we want stories to be told and we want history to be, divulged in history class, right?
Facts.
In the schools.
Facts.
And of course, it also just sends a terrible message as to why things are being. I haven't kept up with critical race theory and what the fight is.
I don't know what the fuck that is, to be honest with you. I really don't know what the fuck that is.
I know that there've been, there's literature written on it, and that it's just another one of these things that people are fighting about, especially when it comes to education and the children. And I've heard things on one end where, in practice, there have been segregation of children in classrooms, and they're just like, you guys sit over here and you guys sit over here, and
this group is better and that group is better.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Kind of
and we'll see how how that feels and why it was this way and all this sort of stuff. And little white children coming home with tears in their eyes, like, am I bad? Am I an oppressor, mom? And that conversation. So I hear that side of it, and then I hear another side where it's more benign than that, and it's not really just trying to tell white people that they're the devil, right? And that all Black kids will never be able to amount to what a white kid can do because you've been shackled, you've been held back in the race too long to ever actually have a chance at catching up in your lifetime, right? Like so there's a couple different ways that I'm hearing this is being taught or not being taught and all that sort of stuff. I clearly don't want young Black children to think that that's the case. You know what I mean? To grow up feeling like you got your hands tied behind your back, but go out there and try to have a good time anyway. Now, again, I don't know if that's what's being taught, but if that's the case, I would not like that to be taught, is all I'm saying. And I wouldn't like for little white children to be taught that they're all the devil and that, they still have to pay for the sins of whomever came before them, 4 generations ago. Like, I don't want that to be the case either. But it's just, it's a weird vibe. It's a weird thing because then people also just want to take away like history notes. And I'm like, why? Wait, what is like that? What is that about?
Look, I've learned about the Civil War from 6th grade to 12th grade. Same facts the entire time because we live in Virginia. As the proudest thing in Virginia may know, is the Civil War. We're both from the same place in Virginia. You know how they feel about them battlefields. All right, I'm gonna be honest. My second thing, if people care about the critical race theory that much, here's my solution: build out better Black schools.
Build out better Black schools, because you're not disenfranchising a group of, like, say I lived in the burbs, you lived in the burbs, we had decent high schools, all that stuff, right? Sometimes these inner city schools want to have funding and all that, and they get the crappy hand over textbooks and all that stuff. We're not saying that, or not we, that this is not a we conversation. It's just saying that, hey, like, we're thinking about the education for the future. Why is there a school has to go through hoops to get better books when the key thing about everything is about having the children have better education? That's the only thing. That's what bothers me more than anything. The critical race theory is just like something I'm just like, it's so lost in the sauce about so many things. Like you said, I'm lost in that as well. I have such a fucking deep respect for professionals in just low budget areas. Like, I got a friend who's gonna come on tomorrow that's a doctor in Bed-Stuy, and that shit's not tight. That shit is not fun, right? Like, to be
homicides probably all the time.
To be one of those teachers in one of these, because that's another thing, is like, we're talking about the actual,
and teachers don't get paid enough.
The books and stuff that we're getting, but like, to have to go to these places where you know because you're an adult, you know that this shit is fucked up, and you're in here, but you got to make magic happen with terrible resources, right? But you have to somehow try to get these kids to want to learn, bro. Oh my God, that shit. cannot always be fun.
No, it's
That shit cannot always be fun.
my wife used to go to VCU. She was in the VCU hospital, worked there, and she had classes in there a little bit. And you see some things, and it's not always. And here's the thing: they teach you to be the perfect nurse, perfect doctor, but then you got these bigger institutions of medical, like Inova or stuff like that, and they have their own set of rules about how they handle stuff. And it's not always up to the T of what you're taught. So you're just like, okay, like how do I do some hand time behind my back? And having that situation, and bro,
dude, the feeling of being at your job and having like understanding what your job is, right? It'd be different if like you didn't understand what the fuck it was, because then at that point you're ignorant.
Yeah.
But when you know what your job description is and what your set of tasks are, but the structure in which it's set in holds you back from being able to do the things, that shit is crazy.
that sounds like a social worker, to be honest.
Oh my god.
That sounds like a social worker, because
Like the strength of these people to just be like, fuck it. I mean, if we don't do it, then it's just not getting done at all. So I guess we just got to fight and just keep pushing this boulder up this mountain.
Dude, I have a friend in Georgia. It's actually one of the places I want to go to. Whitney Gilliard. She runs the Gilliard Foster Gilliard Company in Foster. I forget. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering the name right now. But because it's been
Guilford's a part of it.
Gillard. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure. Give me a second, guys.
This shit's about to be called like Winston's.
No. It's not Winston. Don't cap on that. Please don't cap on that. Give me a second, because I want to make sure she gets the love that she does.
Yeah,
because she's one.
We should get this one right.
Yeah. Give me a second. Yeah, Gilliard and Company. All right, so
Gilliard and
Company. She runs is basically a foster care company for teens that are over the age of 18 that get aged out of the process. And she takes these kids in, get them an apartment, try and get them into school, get them a job at a certain local restaurant and stuff and so forth, get donors. And she is a trailblazer. Hardest worker in the fucking room, hands down. And like we're great friends. Even though I said it like that, it's great friends. Like her son, my nephew, Eamon, God bless. He's crazy kid, love him to death. But it's like she has such a heart of gold in dealing with that process and seeing how, because she's a foster care child, so she's going through that process and also finding your demons at the same time and overcoming that and trying to bring a light to some of these kids and have success stories. And sometimes you're not going to have success stories, but you're still pushing that rock every single day. So I've seen that firsthand, and it's crazy, man. It's really crazy out here.
Wow, man, a sense of community is one of these things where I'm certain you're thinking about it now, and you will be thinking about it more becoming a father, and exactly like what community means, like who's around here, how do we interact with these people around here. And I had this moment the other day where I walked in the building, and downstairs on the first level, you'd seen like there were two women talking to someone at the door. The person, by the way, at the door really was not trying to talk to these motherfuckers, because they did the thing where they like just cracked the door and poke their head out. These people did not give a fuck. They were still sitting there talking to this person. And they looked back when I walked in the door, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" You know, get a quick little wave. And I walked up, and I was like, "Okay, like they're definitely gonna come up. Like they're knocking on doors." Now, I couldn't say exactly what it is, but by their garb, I'd say it had something to do with Jesus.
Oh, Jehovah was in the building. I was like, this sound, Jehovah visited me 2 days ago, bro.
Actually, you know what? No, never mind. Because then my lady came home and she said that she did see the tag, and it most certainly was Jehovah's Witness. You're right. All right. But I came in, and she came in shortly afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, did you see the chicks coming upstairs?" She was like, "Yeah." And then we started talking about something. Then the knock came at the door, you know, like, and she was like, "Yeah, nah." Like, because maybe my face didn't say the same that she was thinking, so I guess she needed to verbalize, like, "Hey, by the way, no, like we're not, don't open the door." And I was like, you know what? As they continued to knock on the door while we're talking, I'm like, because they can hear us talking. I'm like, I'm having a moment right now. One, because I was on shrooms, and I'm like,
hey man, that's a perfect trip. And then Jehovah shows to the door.
and I'm like, because I feel the same way you do, or initially, at least I did. But I thought, why the fuck do we do this? Like, why do we have this natural inclination to when two other human beings from our community knock on the door, we're just like, nope, don't open that. Hey, don't even walk. Hey, hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Don't cut the music off. Like, you just don't want to even bother. And I was like, if I wanted to follow the famous lines of Michael Jackson, right, I would be the man. That I would be the change I wanted to see, right? I would look at the man in the mirror. And I would want to live in a place where people could knock on one another's doors and feel okay when the person opened up the door and just had a discussion about whatever it was that they had to bring their door. I'm not going to go to war with you about this. I'm not worried about trying to convert you out of Jehovah's Witnessism, right? Like, none of that. But I was like, damn, if they hadn't walked away when they did, I would have went and opened up the door.
I would have went at least give them some water because it's hot.
See, but that's what I'm talking. See, like, even just a glass. Hey, can I get you a hey, shut up. I don't want to hear none of that shit y'all talking about, but I'm going to just get you a glass of water because it's hot outside.
Yeah. Like, I really would just do that. Cause I'm like, because we had some yard guy come to our place, but I'm going to let you finish. But yeah, like, just give him warm, like, hey man, I'm not doing it, but hey, here you go. Like,
I linked this back to this time where someone from HBO had called me, and I was in front of a couple of friends, or not HBO, someone from like Fios or Verizon, whatever the fuck I had at the time, because they were trying to get me to up my package.
Okay,
right.
I thought you were about to flex real quick.
Like, no, no. I'm not on speaking terms with any execs from HBO. No.
Man.
But so someone from Verizon called me trying to, upsell me some fucking bundle package that I don't need because I don't watch cable television. But as the young lady's talking to me, I just find myself having a conversation with her. And I'm just like, what's going on with you? And she's like, oh, it's a great day at work. And she's like, is there any way you would like to, upgrade your package? And I'm like, no, to be honest with you, I don't sit in front of the TV. I don't. Like, I watched Game of Thrones at the time. And I was like, I watched Game of Thrones. Did you watch Game of Thrones? We started talking about Game of Thrones. She's like, oh, yeah, I watched Game of Thrones. We just started having a little conversation about that. And I'm like, yeah, so I really appreciate the call. But, outside of that, I'm the services that you guys provide for me right now are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And that was it. And it was a great phone call. And I'm certain it was a great phone call on her side. It was great on mine. But the people that were sitting next to me were like, look at this fucking guy. Right? Was just able to, when you think telemarketer, you're like, oh, get the fuck, like, come on, leave me alone. Like, but I just thought, wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where that wasn't your instinct, at least? And so, next person that comes and knocks on my door, I'm going to answer the fucking door.
Nah, but I get it, because when they sometimes call you, or whoever, like, bill collector, whatever, like, I try to be personal as much as I can. Cause you never know, like, hey, like your bank call you about some charges, and you're like, hey, like, and you're trying to have a conversation because you're like, I really wish you can kind of grease this through a little bit. Like, sometimes they bless you,
dude. Being a decent human being
can bless you in a lot of ways, bro.
You don't have to be phenomenal.
No,
like, you don't have to be exemplary.
Just be polite. Just be nice. How great it feels when you say, hey, like, they're waiting for something to come out. Like, hey, how's your day going? Hey, any good calls today? And has it been long for you? Right. Waiting for the weekend? What you got planned for the weekend? Right. Oh, where you see your family? That's cool. I'm about to go to the game this weekend, seeing baseball and all this stuff. And you have that nice little 2-3 personal conversation. Yeah. And you're like, hey, I'm gonna escalate this up for you, but hey, I'm gonna give you to my girl Tina. She gonna get you right. And you're like, all right, cool. Hey, do you have a survey? Yes, I have a survey. Please send that my way. And sure. Boom, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Oh, yeah. And I'm off to Tina to get my bill down. Yeah. So it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah. See, man. That was beautifully said, because that's just like a broken down way of like what being nice can get you. If you
what can do.
But now here's the flip side of that, and this fucking unfortunately sucks. because I had an intern at the resort that I work at ask me this question. She's like, Earl, it seems like, how do you draw the line for when guests are being super rude and aggressive, right? But they're asking for things. Like, how do you? And I understood the question she was trying to ask me, right? Because it's a weird one when you get in like high customer service.
I mean, I was going to say Richard Pryor, Coke and a Smile, but
like it's more like, unfortunately, in this business, a lot of the people that get things given to them are the people that are kicking and screaming and shouting and acting like a bitch. Now personally, I am the type of person where I do like to go way out of my way for someone that's just like a very, very nice person. Like I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like the shit, like I want to do this person a service. That's just how I feel about good people around me.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. I sent my friend a bike the other day. Yeah, because he's been talking about getting a bike for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now, maybe. And he just would never put the money down to get the bike. But he's a great guy, and I love him, and he deserves to get a bike. But fucking send him a bike. And it made me feel great inside when he called me with a confused face and was like, you sent something to my house? And I was like, yeah, fucking send something to your house.
Nice, bro.
Yeah, man. It feels good to practice that. And it is a practice too, because I can't just leave it to the strength of me to be this type of person. But like I practice being a nice person with people. It's fucking fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing. Your life just like gets better exponentially.
It helps. It also helps that you have a background being a server, just like myself. So you can filter the bullshit and just be like, all right, sir, I can help you out real quick.
I know we have we gotta cut out.
Oh no, we good. We are good. We got 10 minutes.
We are good. We got 10 minutes. We're good because I want to end it here. I know this is a weird place to end it.
Yeah,
but because you and I worked at the same sports bar,
yes,
and I've heard about this not from another sports bar per se, but just another not necessarily high end restaurant. Why do women shit in bathrooms on the floor often?
Actually, because it's about to be my 10 years in 2 years from being away from said restaurants. I never understood why male and female.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Shit in the back.
I just ran across it more in women's rooms.
I never understood why men in the urinals would leave toilet paper in the urinal. Like that.
Oh, just in the urinal. What is that about?
I have no fucking
paper towel in the urinal.
Paper towel in the urinal. I put it on like, what the fuck? Like, why restaurant bathrooms so disgusting? Like, the club is better. The strip club bathroom is better. I pleaded fifth on the strip club, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know which one. Yeah, because I don't know how many strip club bathrooms I found myself in. So I don't know if like my reference points are going to be that deep.
But not like every major restaurant, not even major. Most restaurants I've been to within the area that we live have some of the most grimiest restrooms I've ever seen. When your house is dirty, you're much. Oh, this is a better one. Like when you get a new car and the new car is clean and you try your very best to keep that shit clean for as long as possible. Yep.
And then the first time you just like leave a backpack or some shit in the back. For some reason now it's just open season and shit just starts finding itself everywhere and there are candy wrappers and cups and shit in the back. Right. I think that just sort of happens for everybody.
This comes to a certain point of fuck it. There's a certain point of fuck it in the system.
Yeah, where people are just like, you know what? I think I'm just kind of like let it rock.
Yeah. Like I never understood why.
What I'm saying is like when you're like you've been to different Walmarts.
Yes.
Walmarts in nice places are very, very different than Walmarts in not nice places. In the places in not nice places, you can see the people in there. They will grab something, and then if they don't want any more, they'll throw a box of Fruit Loops next to the mangoes or some shit like that. Like, nigga, this is not supposed to be over here next to the produce. Why? And people just start throwing shit all around the place because they feel like the place that they're in is already shitty.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fucking matter. But I think when you go to nicer places, it's not just because the cleaning staff is better. Is mostly because people like to keep nice things nice.
Yeah. And I think that, man, that the restaurant thing took me back with the bathrooms. I was like, I
had a friend that worked at Carrabba's. It was just like, yeah, there would just be just shit in the women's bathroom. Like numerous times there would just be a load of shit just on the ground in the middle of the floor. And I remember that working at Buffalo Wild Wings, that there would just be shit in the middle of the floor sometimes. I'm like, what is I don't understand what this is about.
I don't get how you're like, the thing that pissed me off is like, you didn't even flush.
You didn't even go to the toilet.
You didn't even make it into the toilet. It would, man.
Like, I don't understand it.
I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings overall in the back of the house was kind of nasty.
Well, I mean,
yeah, it's just Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
what do you expect?
You know,
bro.
When you go out to eat, you're not supposed to think about things like that.
No, you're not.
You can't.
No, you can't. Shit, I remember when before you got there, I remember there was a big. We used to party on Fridays. We used to party on clock on Fridays. We used to have a bottle on clock on Fridays, and me and my boy tried. We were good with it. And then everybody else kind of hopped on the ride.
Oh yeah, you told me you guys ended up getting caught, and that's when you got fired, right?
No, I didn't get fired.
That was another. Yeah, that was a separate incident.
That was a separate incident when they were like, "Yeah, we're not gonna put you in your section." I was like, "Fuck that." Went to Glory Days. Went to Arundel Mills. Lost all my money, and we were good.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was a wild night. God damn, I miss those days. But not because they're server days. Those server parties were crazy.
Yeah, I'm certain of it because it was a bunch of fucking degenerates, man.
It was just
me?
Bro.
Server life back then. It's nasty.
It's bad. It was very bad.
Nasty. Yeah, I had to jump out.
Oh man, like when
I dipped my toes in the waters.
Like when you got in, you're like good, but then when you start seeing like, I remember my last spot, I saw this 40-year-old man go off, and I just saw I said this in the last one. I saw this old man go off, and I was like, I need to get out.
Where go off?
Like just snapped.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, he been here. He been here too long.
Oh yeah,
he been in the game too long.
Yeah, he's in limbo.
He in limbo. I was like, all right, we see this. We got
no.
It was one of those things. I was like, I signed up for classes. I think the next day.
Oh.
I was like, nah. I saw that. I was like, all right, we getting out.
This nigga got scared into an education.
I got scared. Yeah, bro. Yeah, it basically scared me into education. But yeah, like Buffalo Wild Wings will always remain one of the trashiest, best wing spots ever.
Say something sweet in case your daughter ever listens to this.
My baby girl, I'm gonna be honest with you. When you eventually get old enough to watch like Bad Boys 2 or actually what Den of Thieves, I'm just gonna tell you that Den of Thieves scene when you see 50 Cent bring your date to the garage. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's so funny because I don't know if I saw Den of Thieves, but I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
It got memeified.
Like, yeah, exactly. I definitely saw that.
Yeah, but your mom and I love you. Shoot, I've been doing this a lot during my podcast too, because it's just like starting to realize like, oh yeah, she gonna probably watch some of my shows, like seeing that and all that stuff. So it's just like, yeah, but yeah, baby girl, you gonna be the apple of our eye for a while, for a long time. So yeah, we excited to meet you.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming by, swooping by with the little bit of time you had.
Thanks, brother.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, bro.
Peace, everybody. Thank you for listening.